What's up, everyone? Justin here, back with a new wrestling pay-per-view wars video talking about the same time two wrestling pay-per-views, two different wrestling companies went at it. I'm talking about the first episode. I talked about Survivor Series and Starrcade 87. This episode of wrestling pay-per-view wars, I'm going to talk about NWA Bunkhouse Stampede pay-per-view on January 24th, 88. It was on pay-per-view. And I'm sure Jim Crockett thought, well, Vince tried to threaten pay-per-view companies that if they didn't carry if they didn't carry Survivor Series over Starrcade 87, they would not get WrestleMania anymore. I don't know why he thought he could do that. He didn't own the pay-per-view companies, but Jim Crockett probably thought he was safe because he's running a pay-per-view in January, not up against like a WrestleMania or something. But no, he wasn't safe because Vince decided to fuck with him again and probably thought in his head, hey pal, Jim Crockett Jr., hey pal, you want to fuck with me? Or I'm going to fuck with you again and run on the USA cable network a big event, a free event, not a pay-per-view, called the Royal Rumble. A little event that was the debut of the Royal Rumble. It was not a 30-man Rumble, but it was 20. So, anyways, I'm going to talk about the Bunkhouse Stampede first. So, again, Jim Crockett thought he's fine running a pay-per-view on January 24th, only to have Vince run the Royal Rumble on the USA Network. Anyways, I'm reading this article about it. The events that ran the same night and day said Bunkhouse Stampede was already a weak-ass card. It doesn't say ass, but I did. It was a weak card, and it was a weak card going in. And then there was confusion over the start time. Tickets said 8 p.m., but the pay-per-view said 6. The actual start time was 7 p.m. And then it goes on to say this was one of the last straws that led to Crockett selling to Ted Turner. I don't believe that's why he sold. He sold because he was probably broke and gonna go bankrupt and lose the NWA. Probably would have shut down if not for Ted Turner. That's just my opinion. So, anyways, Vince wanted to fuck with him and ran the Royal Rumble. Let's now talk about the Bunkhouse Stampede. Come on, this fucking tablet's acting up. It's not letting me go back. So, Bunkhouse Stampede, for some reason, they went into Vince's territory in the Northeast, on the East Coast. I don't know why. Went to Uniondale, New York, Nassau Coliseum. That was like the home of WWF at the time. They went there a lot, and to New York City a lot. But Jim Crockett, dumbass, thought, let's go there in his territory and let's run a pay-per-view. I thought that was a stupid idea to go to Uniondale, New York. They only drew 6,000. This was like the height still, kind of the NWA. They were probably made more money, I think, in like probably 85, 86, 87 is my guess, than 88. 88, the NWA was probably losing a ton of money because Jim Crockett Jr. was a bad businessman. Or just lost the company money, probably. Bought too many jets, or kept buying jets. I don't know what he did with all the money he made. But that's not good. The NWA in 88, starting 88, had a top fucking talent still. And you only draw 6,000. They had the Road Warriors, Sting, Lex Luger, Flair, the Horsemen, Dusty. I mean, God almighty, Arn and Tully, the Midnight Express. I think the Rock and Roll Express was gone in 88, I'm pretty sure, but they had the Midnight Express still. They had the Fantastics. They had Nikita Koloff. They had a ton of guys. I mean, God almighty. The Varsity Club. They had Rick Steiner. They had Dr. Death, Steve Williams. They had Jimmy Garvin. They had a ton of talent. That shows you the East Coast was not really huge into the NWA because they didn't draw good there. They never, I don't believe, ever sold out like 20,000 in New York or in the state of New York or whatever, state of, what the hell's this state in New York? The state capital. I don't know, but whatever. So here's the results. Again, Bunkhouse Stampede should have not even been a pay-per-view. It should have been on like TBS. It's a Clash of Champions. Up first, we had on the pre-show, dark match. Not a pre-show, but a dark match. Jimmy Garvin and Sting. That's a weird fucking team, but they were teaming up. That's Starrcade 87 and 88. Still. Sting and Jimmy Garvin defeated the Sheep Herders, Butch and Luke. Before they became the Bushwhackers, they defeated them by disqualification. Nikita Koloff, the NWA World Television Champion, Nikita Koloff defeated Bobby Eaton. It went to a time limit draw, 20 minutes. So he retained. Did not defeat him, but retained. Larry Zbyszko with Baby Doll. NWA Western States Heritage Champion. Larry Zbyszko defeated Barry Windham. For the NWA World's title, Ric Flair defeated Road Warrior Hawk. That was a kind of good match to see Road Warrior Hawk, a tag team wrestler, go for the world title. It's pretty cool, but nobody thought that Hawk was actually going to win. Because that would have been stupid to break up the Road Warriors and have Hawk be the world champ. In my opinion, it would have been stupid. So then you add the main event. I don't know who the fuck came up with the concept. Dusty Rhodes, I guess. He was a creative genius for creating the War Games, Starrcade, the Great American Bash, Halloween Havoc. But my God, horrible concept. Weird concept. Weird gimmick matchup. Just a weird ass gimmick match that I never understood. I understood the rules, but they were fucking weird and crazy rules. The only way you get eliminated inside a steel cage. it was like a bunkhouse stampede. It was like a steel cage battle royal in a cage. How the fuck you could have a battle royal in a cage? Can't throw your opponent over the top. He hits up against the cage. He doesn't fall on the floor. Weird. And Vince probably knew ahead of time they're booking a bunkhouse stampede type like battle royal because a lot of guys are in the ring, and Vince was probably like, oh, let's do a battle royal for the Royal Rumble. But I think Pat Patterson came up with the concept of the Rumble. He did. I don't know if he came up with the name, but he came up with the concept of the Royal Rumble match. Every 1 or 2 minutes, a new guy entered. So you go from the Royal Rumble match, I don't care if it was only 20 guys back in '88, to a horrible type Royal Rumble in the Bunkhouse Stampede. Because again, it was like a steel cage battle royal. And the only way you get eliminated, you gotta throw your opponent over the fucking cage, and then his feet hit the floor, he's gone. Or through the door. Which is stupid. Because you gotta ask the ref to open the door to eliminate someone. Dumb concept. Shouldn't have ever happened on a pay-per-view. A bunkhouse stampede in a cage. So, of course, here are the participants. You had the Powers of Pain, the Warlord, and the Barbarian. If you didn't know, they were actually in the NWA first, before WWF. But this was January '88. And the Powers of Pain were still there for the first Clash of Champions, and they left. They were gone by summer, went to work for Vince. I don't know when they debuted, like June or July '88. The Powers of Pain. But yeah, the Powers of Pain, Tully Blanchard, Lex Luger, Road Warrior Animal, Ivan Koloff, Arn Anderson, and Dusty Rhodes in the bunkhouse steel cage mess of a gimmick match stampede. Of course, it came down to Dusty and Arn Anderson. And Dusty wins. Shocker. Why wouldn't he put himself over? He created the fucking match, I believe. Or booked it, at least. So that was a bunkhouse stampede. Again, it was a mess of a pay-per-view show. To me, it was a mess. The only good thing about it was probably Flair and Road Warrior Hawk. So, yeah. Before the bunkhouse steel cage stampede in '85, Jim Crockett Promotions came up with a new match, a new gimmick match for the fans' interest in the product. The Bunkhouse Stampede was a regular battle royal where the wrestlers wore bunkhouse gear, blue jeans, cowboy boots. Similar to street fight matches, weapons were allowed. Road Warriors brought their spikes in the ring. Ivan and Nikita brought their chains, leather straps, trash cans. It was the last wrestler to be in the ring after everyone else was eliminated was the winner. So it's a battle royal. And a lot of the bunkhouse stampedes before '88 were bloody matches. And pretty good, but not in a steel cage. It wasn't good. Because it was too hard. It was too difficult to follow, and it was a stupid idea to... You have a steel cage battle royal, but how the fuck you eliminate your opponents in a cage? Oh, I gotta ask and wait for the ref to open the door. That's stupid to me as a fan. Or get them on top of the cage, fight on top of the cage, and hang from the cage and drop. Again, stupid to me. But yeah, '88 was probably so bad that in The last one was held in 1989. After that, they abandoned the idea. WCW. So now, let's talk about the Royal Rumble, 1988. The Royal Rumble. This was not a... I'll start from the beginning of the Rumble. Before I talk about Dino Bravo's attempt to break the world record at weightlifting when they claimed he's lifting 600 pounds. Which, that whole segment was fucking hilarious, I thought, watching it. It's still funny to watch. He takes forever to Dino Bravo, and I'll talk about it in a minute. So the first Rumble, again, the same day, the same night or day as Bunkhouse Stampede. The first Royal Rumble was held January 24th from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. The same night as the Bunkhouse Stampede. But the Rumble was on USA Network. I feel bad for USA Network. If they lose WWE Raw, they are fucked. Because that's their highest rated show. And my God, WWE and Vince, you got a super long relationship with USA Network going back to the 80s. Primetime wrestling and the Royal Rumble. So, here's how it kicked off, the matches. Up first, we had Ricky the Dragon Steamboat defeat Rick Rude by disqualification. I thought this was a great match. I mean, 17 minutes. They had great fucking chemistry back in 88. Rick Rude, Ricky Steamboat were in their prime. They were still in their prime in 92 when they had a great match. Iron Man match at Beach Blast on 92. One of the best Iron Man matches I've seen. It's only 30 minutes, but it was great for the U.S. title. Again, Rick Rude. Ricky Steamboat is fucking awesome in 88 at the Rumble. Great chemistry. Up next, we had the Jumping Bomb Angels against the Glamour Girls for the women's tag titles, 2 out of 3 falls. I gotta put over the Jumping Bomb Angels. They were fucking awesome. They were underrated, ahead of their time. The shit they could do, they were awesome. 2 awesome women as a team. The Jumping Bomb Angels were fucking great. Looking back on them and watching their matches. So the Jumping Bomb Angels actually win and defeat the Glamour Girls to become the women's tag champs. Sadly, after this, I think they got rid of the women's tag titles. Because why didn't you have the Jumping Bomb Angels on WrestleMania 4? They should have been. They were that good. I would have put them on WrestleMania 4 if I was Vince. Against the Glamour Girls again. Why not? Glamour Girls were not a bad team, but one of them, I think, Judy Martin of the Glamour Girls looked about 60 years old at the time, in 88. I don't know how old she was, but I don't even know if she's still alive. But she looked pretty old in 88. She's still alive, I believe. She's 67 years old. She retired in 99. So, Glamour Girls could work, but the Jumping Bomb Angels were leagues and way above them as better wrestlers and workers. They were like a high-flying team. For the late 80s, a high-flying women's team was unheard of. I'm sure there were many of them in Japan, but I didn't see Japanese women's wrestling from the 80s when I was watching. Up next, we had the Royal Rumble match. It was not the main event. I don't know why. It was not the final match. 20-man Royal Rumble. We all know Hacksaw Jim Duggan won it. And he last eliminated the one-man gang. This is a fun fact about the Royal Rumble 88. And also about the Royal Rumble 88. Dino Bravo's weightlifting challenge where he claimed he broke the record. Maybe he did. I don't fucking know. But what was funny is just funny as shit. Jesse Ventura, Dino Bravo had to keep stopping to put more weights on. It took forever. The crowd started booing. And this was hilarious. Jesse Ventura and Dino Bravo are trying to tell Mean Gene on the mic. They're like, tell this crowd to shut up and be quiet so he can concentrate and lift. Of course, the crowd didn't like it. They booed. I just thought that was funny. And then you had Hulk Hogan and Andre sign the contract for the main event in 1988 in February for the WWF Championship. Probably the biggest rating still WWF and WWE has ever had. Probably the biggest rating ever. I'm talking about TV, people watching at the same time, not YouTube numbers or social media numbers. Because now WWE, the Roman Bloodline segments, yes, they have had I believe over 40 million views, but this was just one channel everybody watched. The main event in 88, Hogan Andre, I think got a 30 rating. 30 million watched it. That's insane. But fun fact, there was and the contract sign was good shit. Hogan got attacked and the table got thrown on him. So then, fun fact about the Royal Rumble 88, I never thought of this really until I read it about it, the event. Randy Savage was not there. That was weird. He was not on the event. Honky Tonk Man and Bam Bam Bigelow were also not on the event because the same day they ran a house show. That's insane. They wanted to run a house show during the Royal Rumble on USA. But back in the 80s, they ran a lot of same-day house shows with the A team, B team, C team. So at one point, I think they're running 3 shows a day or a weekend. That's insane. And that's fucking running the wrestlers like ragged. My goodness. If they had to work 2 shows same day, and my God, that's pretty damn greedy to run 2 shows the same day. That's insane. But that was the 80s. That's what they did. So again, in 1988, the Rumble was 20 men. Went 89 and went to 30. And that's... And it was kind of, I don't know, a little weird that Hacksaw Jim Duggan was picked to win it. But he was over as a face. He was pretty over, and they wanted to push him. So, here's how everybody entered their entrances, their numbers. Butch Reed was out first. Then Jim Neidhart, Jake the Snake, number 3, Harley Race, Jim Bronzell, Sam Houston, Danny Davis, the crooked referee that Gorilla Monsoon loved to say is banned for life, plus 10 years. Danny Davis. If he's banned, then why they brought him back in 94. He reappeared as a ref in 94. Trust me, watch WWF in 94. Danny Davis is back as a ref. That was always funny to me. Of course, he could come back because anybody in wrestling can come back. It's all a work. It's all a show. Boris Zukov after Danny Davis. Don Morocco. Nikolai Volkov. Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Ron Bass. B. Brian Blair. Hillbilly Jim. Dino. I don't even barely remember Hillbilly Jim in there. I don't think he lasted long. Dino Bravo, Ultimate Warrior, one-man gang in the Junkyard Dog was the final man in. Again, Hacksaw Jim Duggan won. Final match was weird. I don't know why they didn't put on the Rumble last. The Islanders defeated the Young Stallions in a 2 out of 3 falls match. And I don't think they had much time left on USA Network. I don't know. I feel like the end of the match was cut off the broadcast. Maybe it's still, the whole thing's there on Peacock. I don't know. I haven't watched that match in a long time. 2 out of 3 falls. Islanders, Young Stallions. Again, I don't know why that went on last. Very weird booking. Bret Hart, I was wrong. Bret Hart was number 1. Tito Santana was 2. Butch Reed was 3. So that's the order. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, number 13, won. So my final thought on Bunkhouse Stampede, Royal Rumble head-to-head up against each other. The Rumble without Randy Savage and Bam Bam was better, in my opinion. It won the night. It won the wrestling war of that night. When they went head-to-head, it won. The Rumble was better. Again, the NWA felt more gritty. The product felt more legit, like pro wrestling. WWF was sports entertainment, and with NWA letting their wrestlers bleed. Even at the Bunkhouse Stampede, Dusty bled in the cage. I think others bled. The NWA, to me, always watching, felt more real than WWF. I'm talking about the action. It looked like a legit fight. But to me, the Royal Rumble 88 was by far a superior, better event. The better production, better lighting. Again, the WWF destroyed any company, any other competition that was around. They destroyed them with their production and lighting. I'm talking about lighting of the ring and the crowd. But they should have been number 1 in production because they're making the most money out of any other company. So I hope you enjoyed this episode 2 of Wrestling Pay-Per-View Wars. Next episode will be on Clash of Champions 1 and WrestleMania 4. After that, I'm not sure I'll talk about the head-to-head shows because I don't think there were that many others that were head-to-head on pay-per-view or on cable and pay-per-view at the same time. Hope you enjoyed this episode 2 of Wrestling Pay-Per-View Wars. Bye for now, everybody.